Hello everyone, and welcome to another chassis series vid with myself, Critical Rocket. Here we are with the second of the Trebuchet videos, the 9K model. Quite a jump from the 5S. This one is a Kuritan specific model that makes use of a lot of the newer technology that was around during and after the Civil War period. So it swaps out the traditional LRM-15s and swaps them for two MRM-20s, giving it a decent direct fire punch. It's also backed up by a single medium laser and two medium pulse lasers. This is quite heat intensive, but also quite damage intensive as well. On the tabletop, this thing is supposed to have about 3 ton of ammo for the two launchers, with the rest of it being taken up by jump jets and a couple extra heat sinks. And this one does actually come with a XL engine by default, of course. If you can work the build around a different way and not have to use it, then yeah, go ahead. Light fusion engine is easily possible with this build as well, if you don't want the risk of your side torso exploding. Now, I'll get to the match straight off. It's a bit of a cluster truck. It's one of those scenarios where your team just spreads to the 5 wins. They're just gone. The enemy team are like a focused kill squad, and they're not the ones who just scatter. So it doesn't go brilliantly, but I feel like my damage was good. I think I gave a good account of this build in this video. The damage is good. Hebe likes it, and that's the main thing. Plus, I know Hebe hasn't been on a few of the videos for a while, so I know Satan's Pooper and such will probably enjoy hailing Queen Hebe there in the background. So, yeah, I do actually like this. There are very few mechs by default in the game that come with MRMs, and MRMs are very popular in MechWarrior Online. They do wonders for some builds. Things like the Quick Draw have been rejuvenated by making MRM-only builds of these things. They can dump a lot of damage fairly quickly. The recharge rate for the weapon is fast. The ammunition is plentiful per ton, and the launchers don't weigh a hell of a lot. Once you get used to the aiming of them, they can also basically blind somebody, and you can just keep up a fairly decent rate of fire. So, even as a build that probably struggles on tabletop because rolling for the 20 missiles isn't always going to guarantee you every missile hits. Obviously, in MechWarrior Online, as long as your aim is true, every single missile hits. That's a lot of damage very quickly. But as you can see, even on a cold map like Frozen City here, the heat spike is pretty high, firing the lasers alongside the MRMs, but it's the best way of burning down bigger targets. Yes, Hebe, I'm telling them about that. Yes, I'm telling them about the armor situation next. So the armor, as I said in the previous ones, the Trebuchet isn't brilliant. It's still not a mech, even with this variant, that's worth taking face-to-face with anything other than another Trebuchet, to be honest. Or something that's even flimsier in its weight group, but that's very few and far between. The mech still works as... Yes, Hebe, I'm telling them it's a direct fire support unit. I know that you really like the Trebuchet, Hebe. Yes, Hebe. Of course. Can I finish the video? No. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, Hebe. So, I expect some people are going to downvote it for this one. There's this like fucking back and forth of a cat, but I don't give a shit now. So yeah, would I recommend it? Yes. I think it's fun. Jumping trebuchets you don't see very often. Yet you don't. Cheeky cat, Hebe. Anyway, jumping trebuchets are fun. The heat is definitely an issue. I would probably switch. If I was going to customize this, I'd probably switch the medium pulses just down to standard mediums. I know that it's a slight loss of damage, but it means you can get a few more shots out before you hit the red line, which I think is a lot better overall. As I said, though, the team is mostly dead at this point. It's just I'm just trying to use the maneuverability. I was trying to find the Stalker that was nearly dead, but I couldn't spot him because I thought I could have got one shot, alphaed him to death. But you know, there was a core of my team that I followed that went around that side. We got a couple of theirs, but then there was, you could see it on the map early on, there was quite a spread of the rest of my team who just kind of went out into random locations and just died in like very short 1 versus 2 or 3 actions. So yeah, it wasn't going to end well in the end. I think the rest of the video is literally just I think I'm the second to last or the last to die on the team. Although I do like the fact that my Trebuchet does manage to stand up there for several seconds before just falling over. So yeah, as you can see, I thought my damage was pretty good. MRMs do... I don't know whether that's the case that MRMs give a false impression of the damage that your mech can do, because you're firing so many missiles so rapidly that your damage does spike, but whether you're that effective with them is another thing entirely. That's where I think the damage thing is a little bit sometimes misleading, in that I think people purely view it as, look how much damage I did, and thus that means I was the most productive in the team. I don't think that's always the case. It's the same as saying, I got 6 kills, but you only did 200 damage. Well, that just means you took someone else's kills, basically. But you look like you did really well because you got a high number of kills. And it's always very subjective. You can do a lot of damage and not get any kills, which I've had plenty of matches like that where I've done 400 or 500 damage, but didn't kill a single thing. So, yeah, it's... I don't know, MRMs I think sometimes might give a false impression that you've done a lot to contribute, but in reality you've probably just spread 500 damage across multiple targets but not actually killed anybody doing it. So yeah. That was the end of that one. Anyway, that was the Trebs. I think there's one more. I might be able to build an Uziel model next week. If not, we'll jump to the 55 tonner. So until then, have a good week everyone. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!